Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Before we start, please hit that subscribe button. Now let's get into the video. The bold and the beautiful as of July 9th. Brace yourselves for an intricate web of danger, betrayal, and desperation as Liam Spencer's heroic attempt at a rescue spirals into a catastrophic disaster, leaving multiple lives hanging in the balance. Meanwhile, shocking revelations and intense confrontations rock the foundation of several key characters, with Bill Spencer facing unrelenting criticism for his past decisions. Let's unpack the thrilling twists, emotional turmoil, and tragic consequences that are set to grip viewers in the coming episodes. Unforeseen chaos at the beach house, a deadly confrontation. The serene backdrop of the beach house becomes the epicenter of unimaginable violence as tensions between Luna Nozoa and Sheila Sharp boil over into a deadly clash. What started as a heated argument escalated into a life-altering struggle when a gunshot rang out, echoing through the coastal air. Sheila, known for her cunning and resilience, finds herself on the receiving end of a bullet, her life now teetering on the edge. As emergency responders rush to the scene, the gravity of her condition becomes apparent. Survival is far from guaranteed. This shocking turn of events sends ripples through the community, with many questioning how such a fierce and enduring character could be brought down in an instant. The mystery deepens as whispers circulate about whether Luna's instability drove her to pull the trigger, or if an unseen third party played a role in this horrifying moment. Adding fuel to the fire, Liam Spencer, ever the protector, storms into the beach house with a singular focus to save Steffy Forrester from the looming danger. However, his noble intentions are met with a devastating outcome. As he bursts through the door, adrenaline pumping and heart racing, Liam is caught off guard by the volatile situation within. Before he can fully grasp the chaos, a second gunshot pierces the air, and Liam collapses, struck by a bullet intended for someone else here, perhaps deliberately aimed at him. His act of bravery turns into a tragic misstep, leaving him gravely wounded and fighting for his life. The once heroic rescue transforms into a harrowing scene of bloodshed, with the beach house now resembling a battlefield rather than a place of solace by the sea. Hospital under siege or race against time as news of the violent incident spreads like wildfire. The hospital becomes a hub of frantic activity and raw motion. Finn and Lee Finnegan, already burdened by their concerns over Luna's spiraling behavior, are thrust into a professional and personal crisis as multiple gunshot victims are wheeled into the emergency room. The sight of stretchers carrying familiar faces, Liam, and a surprising third victim sends shockwaves through the staff. While Finn maintains his composure as a doctor, the strain on his face betrays the turmoil within. After all, these are not just patients, but people intertwined with his life in complex ways. Lee, on the other hand, grapples with a mix of guilt and frustration, having previously warned others about the dangers posed by Luna's unraveling mental state. Their earlier conversation at the hospital, where Lee placed much of the blame on Papi Noza for Luna's destructive path, now feels hauntingly prophetic. The operating rooms become arenas of high-stakes drama as surgeons battle to save lives. In one particularly intense moment, Lee finds herself struggling to extract a bullet. Her hand steady, but her mind racing with the weight of responsibility. By her side, Bridget Forrester offers both technical support and emotional grounding. Their teamwork a testament to their shared commitment to preserving life amid such dire circumstances. Yet the odds are stacked against them. The injuries are severe, and the emotional toll of potentially losing a patient or worse, a loved one, looms large. Rumors swirl among the hospital staff about the identity of the third victim, with some speculating that Steffi herself may have turned the tables on Luna in a desperate bid for survival. firing a shot that could have either saved her life or sealed another's fate. Luna's descent, a tragic unraveling. At the heart of this storm is Luna Nozowa, whose actions have spiraled far beyond what anyone could have anticipated. Once seen as a troubled but redeemable soul, Luna has crossed a point of no return, her mind clouded by rage and desperation. Fane and Lee, despite their medical expertise, failed to fully grasp the depth of her instability until it was too late. Luna wasn't born with malice in her heart, but a combination of upbringing and resolved trauma, and perhaps a dangerous obsession with control has pushed her into a dark abyss. Her rampage at the beach house is not just a moment of violence, but a culmination of pent-up emotions and fractured relationships, leaving those who once cared for her questioning how they missed the warning signs. Some speculate that her fixation on gaining power over those around her, whether it be through manipulation or outright aggression, may have driven her to target Sheila, a formidable adversary. In an ill-fated showdown beyond the hospital walls, the community wrestles with how to address Luna's dangerous behavior moving forward. Her actions have not only endangered lives, but also shattered trust, particularly among those who once advocated for her redemption. As details of the beach house incident emerge, a chilling realization dawns: Luna's unhinged state may pose a threat for greater than anyone imagined, especially if she remains at large. Could this tragic chapter mark the end of her story? Or is there more destruction yet to come from a young woman consumed by her own demons? Bill Spencer's reckoning, a father's regret. Meanwhile, Bill Spencer finds himself at the center of a firestorm of criticism as the fallout from Luna's actions comes to light. Having played a pivotal role in securing Luna's release from prison earlier, Bill now faces the harsh reality that his decision may have contributed to the current carnage. Reach Forrester and Taylor Hayes, never wants to shy away from speaking their minds, confront Bill with unrelenting fury. Their words cut deep, accusing him of prioritizing his own agenda over the safety of others, particularly as Lion Bill's own son's wounded in the hospital. The weight of their accusations is mirrored in Bill's own confession as he admits in a broken voice, "I have no excuses, and I will regret it for the rest of my life." His remorse is palpable, a stark contrast to the confident and often ruthless persona he typically exudes. Yet beyond the public condemnation, Bill's private anguish as a father takes center stage. Desperate for news of Liam's condition, he paces the hospital corridors, haunted by the thought that his actions might cost him his son. The bond between Bill and Liam, though often strained by past conflicts, is now tested in the most heart-wrenching way. Bill's plea for a chance to see Liam, to offer an apology, or simply to hold his hand, underscores a vulnerability rarely seen in the business tycoon. As updates trickle in, there is a sliver of hope. Helium is expected to survive his injuries, but the emotional scars of this ordeal may prove far more enduring than the physical ones. A tragic loss and lingering questions. Amid the chaos and the fight for survival, a somber note emerges from the hospital. Not all of the gunshot victims will make it through surgery. The identity of the person who succumbs to their injuries remains shrouded in mystery, leaving viewers on the edge of their seats. Could it be Sheila, whose storied history of defying death might finally come to an end? Or does fate have a cruel twist in store, claiming another beloved character caught in the crossfire? The loss, whoever it may be, will send shockwaves through the tight-knit circles of Los Angeles elite, forcing everyone to confront the fragility of life and the devastating consequences of in-check conflict. As the dust begins to settle, lingering questions cast a shadow over the path forward. How will Steffi cope with the trauma of this violent encounter, especially if she played a role in its deadly outcome? Will Luna face justice for her actions, or will her unraveling mind lead to further tragedy? And can Bill ever repair the damage done and adjust to his reputation, but to the trust of those he holds dear? The answers lie in the gripping episodes ahead, promising more heartbreak, redemption, and unexpected turns. Next, we will uncover the jaw-dropping developments in the latest episode of The Bold and the Beautiful, where unlikely alliances form in the face of sheer chaos. Prepare yourselves for a roller coaster of emotions as Steffy Forrester and Sheila Carter, two women who have long been at odds, find themselves united against a spiraling threat. Ludino's always unraveling mental state takes center stage, leading to a catastrophic moment that leaves lives hanging in the balance. Join us as we explore the depths of desperation, the glimmers of redemption, and the potential for unimaginable reconciliations in a world turned upside down by a single gunshot. Let's dive into this explosive narrative with fresh details, unexpected twists, and a closer look at the fragile bonds that may or may not emerge from this tragedy. A shocking alliance. Steffy and Sheila stand together. In a turn of events that no one saw coming, the bitter amity between Steffy Forrester and Sheila Carter was momentarily cast aside as they faced a common terrifying danger. The once unthinkable sight of these standing shoulder-to-shoulder at the cliffside estate, their eyes locked on a trembling Luna No, was enough to stop hearts across the viewership. Steffy, usually the beacon of strength and defiance against Sheila's dark past, found herself in an unfamiliar position, leaning on her longtime nemesis for support as the situation spiraled out of control. Sheila, ever enigmatic figure with a history of manipulation, showed a side of herself rarely seen, a fierce determination to protect, even at great personal risk. The ocean breeze carried with it a palpable tension as the two women, bound by circumstance rather than choice, braced themselves for the unpredictable actions of a young woman teetering on the edge of sanity. This unexpected partnership was forged in the heat of a crisis that neither could have anticipated. As Luna waved a gun wildly, her voice cracking with pleas for understanding, Steffy's instinct to protect her family clashed with a reluctant acknowledgement of Sheila's presence as a potential ally. Sheila, for her part, seemed driven by a complex mix of motive, as perhaps a genuine desire to prevent further tragedy, or maybe a calculated move to earn favor in Steffy's eyes. Whatever her reasons, the image of Sheila stepping forward, hands outstretched in a gesture of peace toward Luna, will linger in the minds of fans as a moment of raw, unfiltered humanity amidst a storm of chaos. Luna's breaking point, a gunshot that shakes the foundation. At the heart of this harrowing scene was Luna Noa, whose descent into emotional turmoil reached a devastating climax. Her terror-streaked face and trembling hands painted a picture of a young woman overwhelmed by inner demons, desperate for someone to pull her back from the abyss. Clutching a firearm she barely seemed to understand, Luna's fractured cries for mercy echoed against the rocky cliffs, a haunting plea that fell on ears both sympathetic and fearful. Sheila, acting as a grandmother figure despite their tumultuous history, took a daring stand, her voice steady as she urged Luna to lower the weapon and let reason prevail. But the weight of Luna's pain proved too heavy, and in a heart-topping instant, the gun discharged a deafening crack that shattered the fragile hope of de-escalation. The aftermath of the gunshot left everyone reeling with more questions than answers. Did Luna, in a moment of tragic clumsiness, turn the weapon on herself, her anguish culminating in self-inflicted harm? Or did the bullet find its mark in Sheila, the one person who dared to step into the line of fire to save her? Perhaps in an even darker twist, the shot struck in target, forever altering the course of events. As paramedics descended upon the scene, they are thick with uncertainty. Viewers were left clutching their seats, desperate to know the fate of those caught in this tragic blow. The incident at this stage isn't just a plot point. It's a turning point for Luna, whose actions now cast a long shadow over her future and her place within this fractured family. Sheila's sacrifice, a chance for redemption. Sheila Carter's role in this disaster cannot be overstated. Known for her labyrinthine schemes and a rap sheet that could fill a novel, Sheila's decision to stand with Steffy and confront Luna was a gamble that might have cost her everything. Her attempts to reason with Luna, to peel back the layers of anger and confusion with words of compassion, revealed a vulnerability few believed she possessed. As she inched closer to the distressed young woman, Sheila's tone softened, invoking memories of happier times and promises of a path forward, and leave for the moment to be shattered by the gunshot. Now, as whispers of her condition spread, the question looms large. Did Sheila pay the ultimate price for her bravery, or will she survive to see the fruits of her risky gamble? If Sheila emerges from this ordeal alive, the implications could be seismic. Her actions, though rooted in a murky past, might serve as a stepping stone toward a redemption arc that the bold and the beautiful fans have debated for years. Could this be the catalyst for Steffy to see Sheila not as the villain of old, but as a flawed human capable of change? The memory of Sheila's intervention, standing as a shield in the face of danger, contrasts sharply with past betrayals, like her role in Lee Finnegan's schemes to control Finn or her countless manipulations. Yet in this singular moment, Sheila's loyalty to family, however complicated, showed through the possibility of her survival opens the door to a future where old wounds might begin to heal, even if forgiveness remains a distant dream. A new dawn for Steffy and Sheila's relationship. The potential fallout of this crisis extends beyond immediate survival to the very fabric of Steffy and Sheila's relationship. Historically, Steffy has viewed Sheila through a lens of deep mistrust. Her memories colored by near-fatal encounters and the ever-present threat to her loved ones. Even when Sheila saved Kelly from drowning in a past incident, Steffy's gratitude was tempered by suspicion of ulterior motive, as Sheila's presence at the beach that day felt more predatory than protective. But this latest ordeal is different. Sheila didn't just happen upon the scene. She actively chose to align herself with Steffy to risk her life in a way that transcends mere opportunism. As Steffy processes the trauma of the day, standing over the cliffside where chaos erupted, one wonders if she'll begin to see Sheila in a new light. Imagine a world where the canyon of animosity between these two begins to narrow. If Sheila survives, could Steffy's icy demeanor thaw just enough to allow for tentative steps toward reconciliation? Picture family gatherings, once marred by tension, now tinged with an awkward but genuine warmth. Sheila beaming with pride, passing a slice of birthday cake to one of Steffy's children, or joining in holiday toasts at the Forrester mansion. For Sheila, such acceptance would be the ultimate fantasy, a dream of belonging that outshines even her wildest past schemes. Yet the road to such a utopia is fraught with obstacles. Sheila's catalog of since multiple attempted murders, deceit at every turn, and her role in Finn's past traumas cannot be easily erased. Steffy's forgiveness, if it comes, will be a hard one, a testament to the power of shared trauma over lingering resentment. Lingering uncertainties and future stakes. As the dust settles on this explosive chapter, the future remains a tapestry of unanswered questions and high stakes. The identity of the gunshot victim or victim shangs heavy over the narrative, with each possibility carrying its own emotional weight. If Luna has harmed herself, the tragedy will ripple through her family, forcing a reckoning with how her cries for help went unanswered. If Sheila bears the brunt of the injury, her potential loss could either cement her as a martyr in some eyes or close a dark chapter in others. And if an unforeseen casualty emerges, the shockwaves could redefine alliances and enmities alike. Beyond the immediate aftermath, The incident raises profound questions about redemption and reconciliation. Can Steffy and Sheila truly move past a history drenched in blood and betrayal? Or will this moment of unity prove fleeting once the adrenaline fades? How will Luna's actions shape her fate? Will she face justice? Or will her mental state garner sympathy and a chance at healing? And what of the broader Forrester and Carter families, who must now grapple with a near-death experience that could either unite or fracture them further? The episodes ahead promise to peel back these layers, offering glimpses of hope amidst inevitable heartbreak. Next, we will delve into the electrifying and tragic events teased in the latest weekend spoilers for The Bold and the Beautiful. Prepare for a whirlwind of drama as gunshots ring out, lives are shattered, and the hospital becomes a battleground for survival during the week of July 7th. The unraveling of Lumino takes a deadly turn, leaving devastation in its wake. While shocking secrets and unexpected casualties threaten to redefine the landscape of Los Angeles' most entangled families, join us as we explore the chaos, the heartbreak, and the lingering mysteries with fresh insights, inventive details, and a deep dive into the high-stakes turmoil that promises to keep fans on the edge of their seats. A weekend teaser that shocks, gunfire, and fatality. The weekend spoilers for The Bold and the Beautiful have always been a tantalizing glimpse into the soap's roller coaster narrative. But this week's preview has elevated the stakes to a breathtaking level. Fans were left reeling with the bombshell revelation that gunfire will erupt not just once, but multiple times, culminating in a death that will send shockwaves through the community. The peaceful veneer of light is shattered as violence takes center stage, hinting at a tragedy that no one could have foreseen. The whispers of this catastrophic event have already sparked heated debates among viewers. Will it be a beloved character or a controversial figure who meets their end? As the tension builds, one thing is clear. The echoes of these gunshots will resonate long after the episode fades to black, leaving scars on the hearts of those left behind. The usually predictable squabbles over romance and rivalry, think Brooke and Taylor's endless tug-o, were over rich pale in comparison to the raw, visceral danger promised in these teasers. Imagine the hushed conversations at Forrester Creations turning to gasps of horror as news of the shooting spreads, or the usually bustling Spencer publications grinding to a halt as personal tragedies overshadow business dealings. This isn't just a plot twist. It's a seismic shift that promises to strip away the superficial dramas and expose the fragile underbelly of relationships tested by loss. As we brace for the upcoming episodes, the earth is thick with dread and anticipation over who will fall victim to this deadly turn of events. Luna's descent into madness, a trigger pulled thrice. At the epicenter of this storm is Luna Nozoa, whose mental stability has been crumbling under the weight of obsession and unresolved trauma. Her once innocent pleas for connection have morphed into a chilling fixation. Her voice a broken record chanting accusations and demands, "Daddy, Daddy," as if Phil Spencer holds the key to her salvation. On the flip side, her unrelenting blame towards Steggy Forrester paints a portrait of a young woman lost in a maze of resentment and delusion. Spoilers reveal that Luna, under the misguided tutelage of a shadowy acquaintance named Remy, has acquired a firearm and learned its deadly mechanics. The week of July 7th becomes her breaking point as she unleashes chaos, pulling the trigger not once, not twice, but 3 times in a rampage that transforms her from troubled to terrifying. This violent outburst isn't just a random act, but the culmination of Luna's spiraling psyche, amplified by Remy's dangerous influence. Picture Luna, her hands trembling yet resolute, standing in a dimly lit corner of a familiar estate. The weight of the gun is stark contrast to the fragility in her eyes. Each shot fired is a desperate scream for control, a misguided attempt to rewrite her narrative by force. The fallout promises to be catastrophic, with bystanders caught in the crossfire and families torn apart by the consequences of her actions. Whether Luna emerges from this shootout with her life intact remains uncertain, but one thing is evident, and her path forward will be darkened by the shadow of this violence, potentially marking the end of her presence in LA for the foreseeable future. Hospital in crisis or race against death. As the echoes of gunfire fade, the surgical wing of the hospital becomes the new battleground, a hive of urgency and despair by the end of the week's episodes. Surgeons and nurses scramble under flickering fluorescent lights, their faces etched with determination as they fight to save the victims wheeled and on gurneys stained with blood. The spoilers confirm that before the credits roll on Friday, one soul will be lost forever. They're passing a somber tolling of the bell that no amount of medical expertise can prevent. The sterile corridors, usually a place of healing, transform into a theater of tragedy where whispered prayers mingle with the beep of monitors, each sound a reminder of the fragile thread of life hanging in the balance. The identity of the deceased remains a tightly guarded secret, but the emotional toll is already palpable. Imagine Finn torn between his role as a doctor and the personal stakes of treating someone close to him. His hands steady but his heart racing with fear. Or consider Lee Finnegan, whose stern exterior cracks as she faces the possibility of losing another piece of her fractured family. The hospital staff, accustomed to routine emergencies, find themselves grappling with a crisis that hits too close to home. Their professional detachment tested by the familiar faces on the operating table. As the news of a death spreads, it casts over the entire community, forcing everyone from the Forresters to the Spencers to confront the brutal reality of mortality in their midst. Luna's fate, a reckoning awaits. Even if Luna survives the shootout, her actions have sealed a dire fate. Having been paroled by Bill Spencer, known as Dollar Bill for not one, but two murders and attempted murder of Steffy, Luna's latest rampage obliterates any lingering sympathy for her troubled past. Her grandmother, Sheila Carter, no stranger to villain herself, could likely attest that such blatant destruction demands a reckoning. Whether it's a return to the cold confines of a prison cell or a forest exile far from the glittering chaos of Los Angeles, the spoilers hint that this may be the last we see of Luna for a while. Her story arc potentially pausing as she faces the consequences of crossing a line from which there is no easy return. The community's response to Luna's actions adds layers to her impending downfall. Visualize the hushed courtrooms where legal battles over her fate unfold, or the quiet corners of coffee shops where locals murmur about the once promising young woman turned menace. Bill, who championed her release, must now grapple with the bitter taste of regret, his decision to intervene now seen as a catastrophic misstep. Even if Luna's physical survival is assured, her emotional and social exile looms large, painting a future where redemption feels like a distant mirage in a desert of her own making. Her story serves as a cautionary tale of how unchecked pain can spiral into irreversible destruction. Guessing the victim, a game of deadly stakes. The biggest mystery teased by the spoilers is the identity of the character who will meet their timely end. Could it be Luna herself, her tragic arc culminating in a fatal consequence of her own actions? Or might Sheila Carter, whose past flirtations with death have been numerous, finally run out of lives after her recent reinvention as a humbled pizzeria worker? Steffy Forrester, a cornerstone of the show's front-burner drama, seems an unlikely candidate for such a permanent exit, especially with her portrayer's upcoming maternity leave opening doors for temporary write-offs rather than a final farewell. Then there's the dark horse possibility of Liam Spencer, whose secret battle with an inoperable brain to Morville and Hush subplot school make his death a poignant, far-reaching tragedy. If Liam is the one to perish, the ramifications would ripple through every corner of the narrative. Picture Hope Logan grappling with unresolved feelings, collapsing under the weight of losing him forever. Her future with Thomas Forrester now haunted by what could have been. Bill Spencer, already burdened by guilt over Luna, would face an unimaginable personal loss. His empire of wealth and power rendered meaningless against the void of his son's absence. Even the Forresters, often at odds with Liam, would feel the tremor of his passing, their rivalries overshadowed by shared grief. While the show might be playing a clever ruse, leading us to fear for Luna, Sheila, or Steffy, only to shock us with Liam's demise, the emotional fallout of any death promises to redefine alliances and enmities alike. Conclusion: a week of unforgettable chaos. Welcome back to the gripping saga of the bold and the beautiful, where the week of July 7th delivers a masterclass in suspense, tragedy, and the unpredictability of human nature. From Luna's devastating rampage to the hospital's desperate fight for life, and the looming shadow of an irreversible loss, these episodes remind us why this soap opera remains a cornerstone of daytime drama. As we await the revelation of who will not survive this deadly ordeal, the stakes have never felt higher, nor the emotions moral. Who do you think will be the one to fall, and how will it change the dynamics of this tangled web of love and loss?